Welcome to Level Method Legion Chalk Talk podcast. This is your host, Scott. Today on this episode, I am super pumped to be talking with Alexandra. And Alexandra and I have known each other for probably 3 years. I met her the first time in Chicago at a Two Brain conference. She has been a coach since 2012, actually a CrossFit coach since 2012. She worked at the Level Method gym for many years. She has 3 sisters and a brother, loves animals, and the favorite thing I've ever seen as far as a pet goes is her hairless guinea pig, Petunia. Hey, Alex, welcome to the show.
Hey, Scott. She's one of my favorites, too.
Oh, my goodness.
I've also had a pet turkey before.
His pet turkey?
Pilgrim. Yes.
Oh, that's a very appropriate name. Did Pilgrim go the way of what most turkeys in that era went?
Of course not.
I shouldn't have even asked. So yeah, we've known each other from, I think, 3 years.
Yeah, I remember we clicked pretty quickly.
Yeah, we both kind of had this, I think we started talking about how we relate with people.
And psychology and emotions.
Yep. I remember that conversation.
That, very quickly, yeah.
Yeah, we were in the rental car place and we just started chatting. I didn't even know you were coming and I really didn't even know who you were. And so
Me too.
it was a really good connection. And that's right when I started with Level Method. And so I've known you the entire time.
Yes.
So for our audience, why don't you step back and tell me how you got started? You know, now you're doing social media and some marketing stuff for Level Method. You're kind of getting intertwined with all of the workings with the company. But tell us how you got started with Level Method Gym.
Okay, so yeah, I'll go back a little bit. I started at another CrossFit gym a long time ago in Newport Beach, California, and I didn't feel very welcome or connected to the group. And so I left there with that kind of bad taste in my mouth. I went to another gym, which was much smaller, a lot less intimidating. And I think I'm just naturally a little bit shy, but no one would ever guess that because of kind of the role I'm in now. So back then, the owners of that gym kind of had pulled me aside one time after class and asked if I could talk for a little bit. And they're like, you know, you're like one of the strongest athletes here, and you come from this other gym, but a lot of the girls don't really like you or feel connected to you because you don't talk to any of them. I was very standoffish and sort of alone. And I had no idea. I was a little intimidated being there. And so they said, if you could just maybe make more of an attempt to be a little more friendly. I thought, oh yeah, I didn't want that reaction or that feeling from anybody. So I said, of course. But I was really confused by that at first. So I made it a point to just be more open with what I really felt about all the women there. And I was in deep admiration of almost all of them. Like, so many of them, you know, I knew I was strong, but so many of them could do the kipping butterfly pull-ups or double unders. And these were all these technical skills that I didn't yet have. I just had, gained a lot of strength in my short time in CrossFit. So I started reaching out to a lot of them privately, like in Facebook messages, and just we sort of developed a women's group there, and that's where it started. So that's the gym where I first started coaching, and the owners didn't know it at the time, but I actually hosted my own little squat clinic at the park with all the girls, and I kind of took it upon myself to be a coach before I was ever a coach. I asked my dad to help me make little PVC pipe filled with sand so that I had some weight in them. And so I kind of was doing things on the side already without going to my level 1, because I just loved how it changed my life so much. And I really wanted to I guess just be a part of that with women. So that's sort of where the women's group thing started. But as I started coaching at that gym, eventually I got in touch with Sean Buck, who was part of Next Level CrossFit, which is now Level Method Gym. And so I guess we'll fast forward a couple of years, and I was coaching at two gyms at once at this place where I started. and what's now Level Method Gym. And eventually I decided I couldn't keep up both schedules, coaching in the morning and then coaching in the evening, and having such a full day of classes. So I let go of the first gym that I talked about and then came over to Level Method. Um, and I remember when I told my old gym, the owner, that I'm leaving, he said, what do they have that we don't have? And I remember thinking, I feel like I'm needed there. Like,
Oh,
Nathan and Sean were super masculine, and it was a very male dominant gym with a very strong like male energy and presence. And Sean and Nathan had both been saying that they wanted more like a softer touch and more of like a feminine
right.
presence. And I felt like I could really help with that. And I also saw what I had done in helping create the women's group of this old gym, but it wasn't yet in place at Level Method. So that was my reason. I just felt like there was a need, and I was always very drawn to Nathan and always very supportive of his ideals and his goals. I felt like they were in line with mine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of when that started. So in 2013, I came on full time with Level Method.
So let's rewind back to that first gym. So they
Okay.
literally pulled you back and said, "Hey, the girls don't really like you."
Yeah, and I had overheard a couple of
Oh my
conversations,
gosh.
and it was really like I think I can be perceived a certain way, but
Mm-hmm.
people have no idea how shy I am or how insecure I am, and so they get this feeling that I think I'm better if I'm
Yeah.
not talking to them. Um, so yeah, and I appreciated it. They were being really, trying to be really helpful. They wanted me to step up, and they said, we want you to step up into a leadership role because so many people look up to you and you don't realize it, but you have to step into that role and you have to try a little bit harder.
I think there's a really incredible lesson there for gym owners. Like, if there
Yeah.
is someone, Brian Alexander is used to be a gym owner. He
Hmm.
talks about getting people in the right seat, and
Yeah.
and be able to. He's like, the hard part is identifying not just what someone wants to do, but where they're really good. Because they may
Yes.
say they want to be a coach, but really what they should be doing is, X, Y,
Hmm.
Z. And
Hmm.
that really stuck with me. But this is exactly
Hmm.
what happened. It sounds like they were
Hmm.
like, okay, they took a situation that was awkward and could probably been really sour. It could have gone
Hmm.
really toxic,
Yep.
and made it super positive. And look what came out of it, like a real
Yep.
building of the women's community. So
Hmm.
just want to put that out there for gym owners while we're
Yep.
talking, because what we're going to talk about kind of building and cultivating a supportive environment for women, because I believe that is a massive strength of yours from what I've seen. But I'm thinking that some guys listening to this are like, well, crap, my wife's not involved in the gym. My girlfriend's not involved in the gym, or
Hmm.
I don't have that. This is what I want them to pay attention to, is be watching, be paying attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's the natural team builder, or who's the natural supporter?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in your women's group. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Actually, they did kind of give me permission almost to be something greater than I had known.
That's awesome.
They gave me permission to step forward. Yeah.
Yeah. They really empowered you.
Yeah.
And to be doing women's squat clinics before you even have any formal training, right? You're just taking this
Yeah.
upon yourself.
Yeah.
It was in you from the start, obviously. Coaching
Yeah.
was in your bones. So that's great. So now you're working with Level Method Gym. You've started your relationship working with Sean and Nathan as well. How long did you coach? So that was 2013. So 7 years.
Yeah, so I think I started at that gym in 2012, and I think maybe around that time is when I came into Level Method, like a year into it or something, or 6 months into it. I don't really know the exact timeline, but I remember 2011 I was a member. By 2012 I was coaching,
Wow. Yeah.
and I think Sean kind of gave me the opportunity to come over to his gym shortly after I got
Mhm.
my coaching level 1. Yeah.
So Sean was your first connection with Level Method, or at that point it was Next Level, I believe, or
Pretty
something.
much, yeah. Before then, it was Next Level, and I remember I got a like Sean. So that there was a mutual connection. Someone that I knew was a member at Next Level, and which is now Level Method Gym. And Sean, I guess, I think Nathan and Sean had been looking for an admin role or someone to come in, like a female presence in all of this. And I think that they were kind of seeing my social media, like what I did on Facebook and kind of how I was doing that anyways. And I think, so I always kind of viewed my Facebook as my virtual business card, kind of just showing what I'm about and keeping it, very much about the values that I believe in.
That's really cool. So,
Yeah.
so you now have transitioned over to Level Method Gym, and was there many women there at that point?
No,
Okay.
there were hardly any, and people joked that it was a sausage fest.
Oh my gosh.
You can edit that out.
No, we got to leave that.
People joked that it was all men, and just there. Not that there was anything wrong with this, but everything was blue, and it was just the feeling was very cold and very like just cold. There was no warmth. The lights were really cold as well. I remember I kind of come from like a little fashion, makeup, interior design background. And so like the first thing I remember is telling Nathan and complaining about was like, there's no warm lamps in here. There's like nothing warm about this place.
Wow.
It was very much a guy's gym, I think.
Okay, so let's fast forward to March. Let's do March, before March. Let's do February because we can't count COVID time. But let's fast forward to then. What was the male to female ratio at this point after you have been in there for this amount of time?
So at the point that I was really marking that, we were at 64% female.
Okay. So you totally turned the tables. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It was
So
much more vibrant and happy place.
How did you grow? How did you grow that?
Yeah. So I've been just knowing that we're going to have this talk and kind of wanting to systemize this for a long time, systematize this. I kind of look back at the steps, and like the first thing was there was a female coach, which was me, but there was also another female. So I think just having a female leadership or team in place was step one. And then kind of deciding on what the culture was. So like for me, my personal we'll pause.
Yeah, sorry, I was choking on something.
So I'll start. So I think like that feeling that I initially had when I went into that first gym a long time ago, and I just didn't feel comfortable, I didn't feel welcome, kind of set the idea for what culture I would like to create in a gym where I have some control over this. And so deciding on the culture, I think, is step one. And so like for me, it was no clicks. And what's the positive, like what's the opposite positive of no clicks? It's that everybody's welcome, that it's a safe place, that everyone's going to have fun, but it's also going to be intimate, and that women feel empowered and loved, like they're totally supported. So there's not judgment, there's support. There's not competition, but there's push, and that it's a safe place for women to show themselves. Like if you're having a bad day and you cry, you're not judged or ignored. You're hugged and you're brought closer. So I think that was like a really strong idea and concept that I wanted to bring into the culture. So I think deciding on the culture was step number one. And then talking about that. So I remember I did almost, I would say like 90% of the intros from the time I was there. So anytime I had a female doing an intro session with me, I was really upfront about this women's group. And I would tell her, my goal is to make this gym have stronger female presence than male presence, and I want you to be a part of that. So I would actually just say that. And I feel like that kind of just brought them in from the start. Like they liked the idea that they were part of something. They liked the idea that there'd be a place for them, and that this was something I was actively working on, and I did want them to be a part of it. So I think being candid with that from the get-go with all the female intros was a huge part of why it was successful. And then another huge step was starting a secret women's only Facebook group. So all the members of our gym, we might have a whole male female secret members group on Facebook, but we also have only a women's group, and that was the place where I think all this really took off, because we voted on our female women's group name, and it was a vote. Almost everything we did was a poll, not me telling them this is what we're doing, but giving them options, so it's not like, I feel like it's very important for women to feel like it's a democracy. Everyone's heard, and we're deciding together, because it's our group. It's not my group. We want to create this for us. So I think just that sort of feeling is important too. And we created our very first women's only design for our t-shirts. So there were a lot of firsts in that first year.
You had a separate women's design, like it was not anything like the men's.
Nothing like the men's. The first design was unicorn deadlifting. It was awesome.
I'd wear that.
Pretty awesome. I think it was our favorite one. And all of this was voted on. I feel like that was a huge part of it. So yeah, the voting on the name of what we call ourselves, that was not my choice. It was, the group. And then they can visually see that what is voted on has more votes. So it's fair, it's fair for everyone. Then we had our very first women's event, which was awesome. We made PR tails. So we made these a band you put around your waist, and we had this furry fabric and all different types of fabric to create your tail, which a lot of the women ended up using when they knew they were about to do a personal record, so they put it on before they do a back squat or something. And
that's awesome.
It was just so fun. So we had our very first women's group event. I think those were sort of the keystones of what got us started. I'd write a lot of letters to the women, so have just kind of create this personal connection to all of the women who came through, not just to introduce them, but just to tell them how much I appreciate them. So it was very intimate, a lot of one-on-one, relating, but then also a lot of friendships and support forming. And I think it just, we got lucky. We had a lot of, I don't know if it was all luck, but we had a lot of women who loved it. So they kept it alive for us.
Well, here's how I view this is, if you're starting a business or you're getting coached in a business or you have a business, you're probably been coached or heard that you really need to dig in and define exactly what your ideal client is. And it's almost like you decided, okay, my ideal client is a female, and I want her to feel empowered, and I want her to, and by focusing in on those things that you did, it really kind of cultivated that. So did you feel like you had a certain type of woman in the gym, that 64%? Was it, or was it just all women?
It was all women. And I feel like I tried to comment on that a lot, in our group, posting pictures of loving to see that we have a 60-year-old woman and a 20-year-old girl out of college or going to college or whatever, the mom and daughters working out together. I wanted it to not be any type.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just female is, all.
Yeah, that's great. So the list you gave me, that you just gave us all, have some of the things. Let me review some of these. You said number one step is decide on the culture. And you decided no clicks, everyone is welcome, no judgment, not competition, but pushing. How did you get those across? And how did you ensure that that was a message that was continually a part of what you're doing? Because I feel like that probably had a lot to do with the culture you created.
Yeah, that's true. So I think, we had a motto. It was strong, gentle, tough. So we embody all of those words and what they mean. Being strong, physically and emotionally, having the courage to be vulnerable and to speak about what's hard. Being gentle with ourselves and with each other. And tough, I feel like it's endurance, not complaining. So we would do no complaining challenges within the women's group. So we were kind of our own little autonomous group within the gym. So we would have our own challenges. We had a challenge once where we did 100 push-ups a day for like, I don't know how long we did it, but we comment in there. So we're embracing like what is strength, what are all these things, strong, gentle, tough. But also I think the posts that went into the Facebook group, the secret women's only group, were always celebrating the values that I wanted to celebrate. So, you know, if I saw a girl break down during prowler pushes because she was just having a really emotional time in her life or that day or the week, and then I was able to witness how she was supported, I would go in and tell a story of that for all the women who weren't there, you know, and I think that became a normal thing that women shared in the group what was happening to embody that culture, you know, and that became the norm, like
Yeah.
celebrating those moments.
So I see, I'm thinking that you were given the green light on developing this culture the way that you saw fit.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that affect the already culture in place? Did it change it, or was it still encouraged? And then like talk us through that like, because I can see some people listening to this going, oh my gosh, I don't want my gym to become this whatever the opposite of a sausage fest is, like, right, you know, like,
Yeah.
so like talk us through how that rolled and how it worked.
Yeah, so you're right, there was no constraints put on me. It was like, just do your thing. Like, it wasn't even really talked about. I think all the coaches could agree that it was just nothing but a plus for the business and for the community. And so I think what we ended up seeing is that where women flock, more women will flock too,
Mm-hmm.
because it acts as, like we were talking about, social proof. If you see a bunch of women, you know, saying basically that this thing is okay, this is safe, this is where I feel comfortable, it'll only attract more women. And I don't know how that could not attract more men. So for business, I
Yeah.
think that it's nothing but good. And when you have a group of women who are happy and healthy and supporting each other and not tearing each other down, which is, I think, such a refreshing thing in our culture, where like mainstream, that's all that's happening, is you're judging, you're comparing, you're getting pushed down or pulled down by women, where I don't think that's natural at all for our makeup and how we're meant to thrive. So when you find this little pocket of a place and a community where women are actually supported and psychologically, like, this is all nothing but healthy, it's just a happier, better place for everyone. Like, you can feel that energy. So
Yeah.
I don't see any negative to it.
Well, and that was kind of where I was
Yeah.
hoping it would go, is there really
Yeah.
is no negative. And I love the point that you said,
Yeah.
hey, more women will typically mean you're going to be attracting more men. And that's
Yeah.
absolutely, you know,
It's okay. Like,
yeah, it's
it's
fine.
natural. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
um, at the Two Brain, you know, let's go back to Two Brain. At the Two Brain conference,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I heard that was said by Seth Godin, because he was a guest, was you should not be paying for ads at a gym that has like 100, 150. It should all be what you're doing inside of that building. And
Yeah.
this is exactly the point, is like, if
Yeah.
you focus on, like, maybe a woman finds a whole new ability that she's always kept inside,
Yep.
or like, I feel like I had this when I owned my affiliate. A woman would say,
Yep.
I finally feel like an athlete. I never made a
Mm-hmm.
team, but I actually
Mm-hmm.
feel like I have, you know. And that was
Mm-hmm.
huge. And but
Mm-hmm.
if you can and create an environment, well, where you're embracing these things about kind of making them badass, right,
Mm-hmm.
while still,
You're
I love,
tapping into your power.
yeah. And then they're going
Yeah.
to tell their friends. They're not going
Yeah.
to, you know, and their friends are like, oh, I could never do that. But this is a different approach, because you're embracing mind, body, spirit. Really, is what
Mm-hmm.
you kind of just said, was the things that you talked about
Mm-hmm.
and decided on in the culture are really
Yeah.
more than just physical.
It's holistic. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah,
that's why, like, transformation happens in those sort of environments.
right.
So it's not physical. That's just a byproduct. Like, there's a transformation of a woman's health in all areas of her health, when I feel like when she taps into her power, like you were saying, and never felt strong, maybe physically, but also emotionally, or, like she's proving to herself what she's capable of. And I think we do really need that as a culture and a
Yeah.
collective. And also something you said, what was it? I don't know. I'll have to come back to it, because there was something that I was, we were able to do bring a friend
Oh yeah.
days just for women. So we would do bring a friend girls workouts, where we would do like a big team workout. It wasn't even like one person does their
Oh
own
right.
workout. We do like split the whole group into two. So we might have like 20 people and have like 10 and 10, or just do a big old group workout as one. And again, and then we go and eat afterwards. We'd always joke that we'd always find a way to involve food.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
But sometimes we do other things too. Like we had wine nights. We did the PR tales. That was the first thing. Picnics. We did like a ceramic night where we painted. We've done painting nights, zoos, beach, like any idea that surfaced or that was suggested, we would just run with it. Everyone's idea usually got hit. We went to a tea house. We volunteered. So it was so cool, because we could do whatever we wanted, and always make it open to bring a friend. They could bring their mom, they could bring their sister, they could bring a girlfriend who wanted to try us out but wants to meet us first and kind of see what we're about. I feel
Yeah.
like it's a really organic way to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's you made a lot of really good points in there. So let's dissect that a little bit.
Okay.
You did invite, like bring a friend, but it was women only. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
like so simple, but you're taking away a massive barrier for people
Mm-hmm.
trying something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's intimidating, I think, for women. That's the thing. Like, so when I started at the gym and I had never worked out before, I was just intimidated. I was scared. I was jumpy. All the weights
Yeah.
hitting the floor. I was just so not in my zone.
Yeah.
So I know that feeling. Like, even though I've been training for these years and I don't feel that way at all, I feel very like capable. I could go into 24, any type of gym, and know what the heck I'm doing.
Right.
I don't forget that feeling, and most women feel that coming into the CrossFit environment, or gym environment, whatever it is. So when you have men who are just like stereotypically know what they're doing, or they're expected to
Mm-hmm.
feel confident in that environment, you take them away, and now you can just like be yourself and not feel judged and not feel stupid or insecure or weird or out of shape.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's I think that's a note everybody listening should take, an asterisk, like women's only, bring a friend. And you also you outlined some other things you guys did, but the big point is you did things outside of working out. It
Yes.
seems like it would be very a good flow to do these women's workouts, then go out to eat, and that would lead then,
Yes.
as this thing grew into a more it lead organically into doing outside activities together.
Yes.
Talk about retention. I mean,
Yeah.
what a great way to increase retention in your gym is,
Yeah.
like, you don't want to miss out on all these things that are going on. And
Yes.
I'm paying for a membership and maybe I'm injured, but I'm still getting all of these other social needs met.
Yes.
And it's not just around working out, because that's limitation for some at some
Yes,
point. Injury.
exactly. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Pregnancy, like
as
all
yeah,
kinds of things will take a woman out, but our group is still solid and still functioning and still communicating in the group. And after COVID, we did a wine night, virtual wine night. So like we have to keep it alive. It's part of, there's friendships there, there's connections there, there's a sense of stability there. So there's a lot of
that's
longevity.
yeah, that's really good. That's really
Yeah.
great. Um, I think I want to get to another step, a point, but before I get there, I kind of want to go back to um, the person that's listening to this podcast going, "Oh my gosh, I have no energy for this."
Yeah.
But I think the point is neither did Sean or Nathan. They didn't have the vision,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't
Mm-hmm.
have the energy. I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
have a guy put together a women's only group just simply
No, it
doesn't
wouldn't be
work.
natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody who's like, right now, okay, right
Yeah.
now, what should they look for in somebody to do this?
Yeah. I like that question. So I feel like you have to have a female coach. Like I don't think there should be a gym without a female coach. And I don't mean like just admin or manager, but coaching classes.
Right.
We would we would get super excited because we do class reservations when we saw that only women reserved for class. It was like posted about, celebrated, so people were like, oh, there's no more spaces, can I come in? So it was really neat to have a female coach and all the women in class be coaches. I just think it's important to try to get a female coach on board.
Yeah.
But if you don't have one, and that's okay, maybe down the road, that could be like a goal. Like we were talking about, sort of how those two owners did with me, looking at your community and seeing who has the coaching qualities in them, who's naturally a leader or bubbly, or maybe they don't have to be bubbly, but just has a natural tendency to connect and support the women in your gym. And what we did is we would have a lot of advocates in our gym who weren't coaches, but they really did advocate.
Advocate.
It sounds wrong. They really did advocate everything that we stood for. So we'd call them our pillars.
Yep.
And so we took them to dinner, let them know that they're on the inner circle, that they may not be coaching, they it's not, maybe not an interest, or they don't have time for it, or there's other things going on, but they still understood that they were big assets to
key
our
players.
Group. Yeah, key players, and letting them know that.
Yeah.
So then they can volunteer to do host events or to start the women's group. And I think that can be really fulfilling for those sorts of women and those people, so they don't have to be coaches yet.
Yeah. I think you're onto something. And I dissect different gyms and how they're doing. Like they say,
Mm-hmm.
we want to grow. And
Yeah.
I've found certain things. And I think one of the main things is not having that person, that person that's going to draw something outside. Like you might have a guy or you might have a gal running a gym, and they just don't have certain qualities, because not everybody has every quality.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't come down to, I couldn't change and serve the women in my gym. However, I could bring someone in. And then the first objection is, well, I only have 40 members. How can I afford that? So you can't afford not to, because that person is probably the difference between staying at 40 forever or moving to 110. What's your goal? Or 80, what's your goal? Because I think it's just a huge miss for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
So would you go as far to say, and I'm kind of putting you on, I haven't pre-discussed this with you, so I'm putting you on the spot here. Would you go as far to say as it's more personality, looking for the right personality is better in trying to find, let's say, let's go with female coach, than skill or body awareness? I mean, obviously we want both, but
yeah, I feel like that's tough.
yeah, I knew I'd
feel
be
like
putting you
a
on the
coach
point.
should represent their field.
Yes. Yeah.
So I feel like that has to be first, or a desire to become a coach.
There
Like
you go.
maybe there's no awareness, but the work ethic is there. Like you'll work hard, you'll put the hours in, you'll put the hours in when maybe you're not getting paid for it in the beginning, because it's like a mentorship or internship sort of deal. Like I feel like that needs to be there, like not a sense of entitlement because I am have a good personality, or I'm such a connector, but you're still in a gym and you're still a coach. So I would say both.
Yeah.
I think both is really important. And I was going to say, I think that with the personality, when I said bubbly, I wish I hadn't said that, because I don't think that a woman has to be bubbly to grow a women's group.
Right.
But
Right.
I do think there has to be a sense of sisterhood, and she has to believe in that,
yeah,
what that means and what that entails. And also not like not gossiping, not talking about other people. Like just as a coach, you kind of learn that, like the emotional withdrawals, the emotional deposits.
Yeah.
And how you make those emotional withdrawals is by talking about someone behind their back in a negative way. So like, I think another thing to look out for is just how she really does interact, and how a coach in general interacts with just in their social life.
Yeah, I think that's super important. So I think some people are thinking, well, you're asking me to find a unicorn because, in a way, you are very unique in that you were strong from the start. You have great ability in CrossFit, and then you also can coach, and then you also develop this female thing. But I think the key here is being willing to learn. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to get all this right up front.
No, like I think I was a terrible coach when I started. I didn't know. I only had been doing it for a year.
Yeah.
I was like not qualified on paper to be a coach, but the desire was there. I was coaching the waking up at 4:30 to coach the 5:15 boot camp because it was an opportunity, and like just the desire to learn. And also, I think I should probably make this point, like it wasn't me alone who started the women's group, and I posted about this in the women's group often, that we were successful because of us,
Yeah.
not because of me. Like I might have been the initial push, but it would have been absolutely like dead without them, without the women who came around me and the bench coaches that we did have come in, and those pillars that we talked about who really did represent and like stand for what we represented. So it can't be done alone. So all you have to do is build a team who believes in the sisterhood, empowering each other, and picking each other up when you fall down, and supporting over competing.
Yeah.
I think we can all get behind that.
Yeah,
Because
I
it's
think so.
natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are really great points. So, let's dive into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which was level method, and I am putting you on the point because I on point here. I did not lead you
That's
to
okay.
this or tell you. So, how did level method? Do you feel like it cultivated a certain mindset or environment that actually helped with the women in the gym?
Yeah, let me think. It probably made it. I'm trying to think back. It seems like we've always had level method.
Right.
That's why I'm trying to think of like the
Yeah.
clear separation between no level method and level method. I think it definitely and obviously made it easier to celebrate each other with tangible things on the map. Like so and so got her very first double under today. She's this belt, you know. So maybe the same points that other gyms and other coaches could say the level method has done for their community would be the same for the women's group.
Yeah.
Just giving tangible things, handles on the athletes, specific points to celebrate. And I guess like that culture of just not being judgmental, not being elitist, not really rooting for the red belt as much as we do for the white and the yellow and the orange belt. I think that made that feeling of including everyone easier, because the beginners were always welcome from the start. The women, when we welcomed them into our women's group on Facebook, and we told them like she just completed her intro and she's the white one belt, like that makes, I think, the women want to scoop her up even more and like, congratulations, like we're so glad to have you, it's so amazing, because they know that like a beginner is going to feel these things like intimidation and possibly want to run away. But if they're celebrated from the start, sometimes more because they're beginners, I think it's even a more welcoming environment. Does that answer your question kind of?
Yeah, no, it does. And that's kind of what I was thinking. I was hoping you would say, because I think there's a lot to coming in and not understanding. You see people flipped upside down doing handstand push-ups, or you see people doing these crazy like fluid movements that it looks like they're shoving their chest to the bar. They have no clue. They're doing these really funny things. Yeah. And they come in, and then to be embraced by a group of people, and there's no like secret. It's I am here, and hey, we are so glad you're here. We're so glad you're a white one, and you'll be moving up to yellow in no time flat, right?
Yeah. Like their level is even more exciting because they're a beginner. Yeah. And like everyone's on board. And I think that was another thing too, like having a place where you're as excited for them about their PRs and level ups as they are. Yeah. Because it's like we're all in this together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so incredible. So what what do you expect? Like, what is a kind of a timeline? And I know this is really tough because you've got your own social proof, but I actually know you're helping other women cultivate these situations now. So in their own gym, what's kind of a timeline? Like, how long do you think it would take someone going from a sausage gym to what do you, we got a new term now. What do you think is like a timeline to realistically with the right people in place? I mean, are we looking at, 6 months? Are we looking at, just even improve? And that's a really tough question, I know, but.
Well, I remember the general excitement of just starting the women's group and doing the first women's only event and then releasing that first tank top design. There was like so much excitement, and that was all within like, I don't know, less than a year.
Okay.
And
Wow.
like the tank top, I remember feeling like I want every single woman in the group, I want her to want this shirt because it represents something. And like just seeing like how many people are wearing that shirt in class, how many females are wearing that shirt in class, like I feel like you see it right away, but you have to like just set it up first, like
Yeah.
get the female lead in place, the Facebook group, vote on the name, vote on a design, or just release the design or whatever. But and that's like all within a year. But I think doing that consistently, posting and sharing and celebrating the values that you represent and telling the story and being open about that, I feel like when I think back to when the group felt really like it had a tipping point, like it wasn't a beginning thing anymore, it was like its own entity. I'm looking at like, I felt like that was like 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the message is find somebody soon and get this started.
Yeah.
because the immediate effect is going to be there. I mean, if you start a women's only thing and you really cultivate it for, you've decided on the culture, and you got this secret women's Facebook group, and you're really kind of coddling and not coddling, but you're what's the word when you're growing something? Nurturing.
Yeah,
Thank you. You're nurturing it,
nourishing
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of guys probably would be worried that they lose control over, all these special things happening. And I would say, so what? Like,
Yeah.
if it's encouraging membership and it's
Yeah, I
cultivating,
don't.
yeah.
Maybe it was just our community, but I felt like we were so lucky because the men that we had in classes didn't mind that they were the only guy in class. Like sometimes they joke like we need to have more guys in class, and we we'd go through phases where there might be an all guys class, and that was fun and exciting. There were certain classes that were more male dominant than other class times just for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I felt like everyone was just so laid back and fine with it.
Yeah.
And we still had like Nathan owning the gym, so you can't really diminish that male presence.
No, you can't. I mean, I think it's good to have them all there, but
yeah, the balance.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we need to cover about any of this? Because I feel like we've got such great actionable steps for folks. Like, I think this is huge. Like, here's step one.
Yeah, get someone on board, start the group, vote on stuff. There was something I wanted. Oh, I was gonna say just about the events, like making those events, those women only, girls' night, whatever you want to call them, events. Don't always have to be related to the gym, and a lot of times you'll have just a lineup of women who want to host something or have an idea, and just capture that, like put it in a lineup, like so you have an idea for every month of the year, and they just make sure it's an open, like you're open to all the ideas rolling in,
So
and make it that they decide and not you.
It seems like that would encourage consistency as well.
Exactly.
When you're taking what they want to do. Like, I'm sure you did an event, a women's event, or went somewhere, did something that you probably weren't as thrilled about, but someone else was thrilled about it.
It's not about, that's the thing, it's like not about one person, it's about the group. So everyone being heard, everyone volunteering, and like it takes the pressure off of you. If I don't have an idea, I can just throw a poll up in the Facebook group and ask, what do you guys want to do? And then from that we get like 10 ideas. So like, okay, good, we're good for the next 10 months.
Yeah, I
So
could.
you make it a self-governing
Yeah,
body.
I really like the poll. I mean, you've pointed that out, I think, like 4 times. And
Yeah,
so
that's
that
true.
was a really valuable tool for you.
Yeah, the pull. I think naturally, like just thinking of how women typically probably are is more of a democratic sort of
Mm-hmm.
style, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
listening to everyone's needs, kind of feeling out what everybody wants. Um, I think that's really natural and an easy way to grow the body too.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. Okay. It makes complete sense.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm
Cause I
glad.
know when you and I talk, you're like, well, we should put a poll up. And I'm like, that's a really good idea. I never even thought of that. So now I know it served you very well. And that's another
Yeah.
thing, another takeaway is like, put a poll up there.
Yeah.
I see some people, like some gym owners, I want to differentiate. I see some gym owners put up something like, if we were to have uh, a kids class, would you pay $100 a month, $59? I'm like, that's not the kind of poll. You're the business owner. Make the decision,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We're talking about different types of polls, but
Yeah.
I want to make sure I
There's terms
differentiate
you
that.
have. And that's, yeah, like if you give too many options, it's like you're really screwing yourself over. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah, maybe you decide on the options and then let people vote.
So how did you maintain, let's look at that a little bit, because we're talking about maintaining leadership while actually, it's the whole democracy thing. How did you maintain the kind of the
Mm-hmm.
point person, as it was, it just your job title and so that kind of maintained it, or how did you allow for so much input and
Mm-hmm.
participation and still manage to guide this?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. I'm thinking back, like maybe, I mean, the coaching role, I coached, half of the classes. I think Brian and I split them probably in the end. It was he and I um, did all the intros. So like I was the first point of contact for all of the people coming through, including these women, so there was kind of maybe a little bit of a bond and loyalty from the beginning, and kind of I felt like I was their security blanket, which was my goal, was to quickly not be, and let them form friendships so that I didn't have to be the point of security, because it would
Yeah.
just been too much. But also, like, I feel like a lot of initiation was taken on my part. So if someone had an idea, it's going to be me who takes action on that.
Yeah.
And I think that I have a really I mean, I think everyone does, we have our feminine and masculine energy, and our feminine sides and our masculine sides, and it's just a harmony of both. And I think that bringing up my masculine side in a lot of ways has helped me um, in like kind of a male dominant industry, or in competition, like even in, competing as an athlete, but also in, like you're saying, leadership. You kind of bring up this more masculine energy, and maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Those are my best guesses. That would be a poll that goes to the
Yeah.
girls, because I don't really know, but I think
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But I think really, when we kind of look at it, we're looking at all sorts of different kind of leadership, and there is a positional leadership where the position does make a difference. And kind of the point I want to make was several. Well, there's several. Number one was um, you were a paid staff member, and I think a lot of times business owners try to find the cheapest way to implement something, but we really need someone who is diehard, ready to dive in, have some ownership, and lead the way in this. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
not a freebie. I'll trade
Mm-hmm.
you your membership for this.
Yeah, that's probably a good point. And also, like, my I feel like it wasn't easy. Like, there was a lot. It was hard. Like,
Yeah, you did a lot of work.
I feel like an owner, even though technically I wasn't, and I wasn't, but I had complete ownership of that place.
Yeah.
That gym, that business, that family, that community, like all the people. Um, so maybe it's just an energy thing. Like you can feel that, you can pick up on that, and maybe that's, yeah. I think what you're saying has a lot of validity.
I want to, and I also want to, the second point I wanted to make was that you were doing all the intros with the new folks. You're doing the
Yeah,
kickstarts.
I think that's a huge part of it.
Do you think women should be doing kickstarts because of the women, or at least women should be doing kickstarts for women?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that. I don't feel like it should be separated like that. I know that I have a welcoming presence, but I know that there's probably a ton of women and men alike who don't need that,
Right.
who don't need
Right.
that gentleness, but also like a quality you want to look for in a coach is to adapt to the client, and not,
Absolutely.
if you can tell they don't need that welcoming, then don't be that, and meet them where they are. So um, I don't think that gender really has much to do with it, but more the ability to adapt to your client and who you're bringing in,
Great point.
meeting them where they are.
Great
That's
point.
kind of, yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
really important.
So to close out, I just wanted to I think thank you, because I think this is something that's not talked about. I think it's something that needs to be talked about. I think it's something that's not capitalized in a lot of gyms, and it really needs to. So thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you for letting me talk
Yeah,
and passionate about it. And
I can
I've
tell.
been really excited to think about all the things that, the system behind what happened and what went down and how we were so successful. I wouldn't have systematized it if it wasn't for you giving me the opportunity to talk.
Good, good. And Alexandra, if somebody wants to ask you more questions, they obviously can probably reach you in the Legion Facebook
Mm-hmm.
group or online on Facebook. I know you're there.
Yeah.
So how can they find you? Because I think it's important.
Like email, I guess.
Okay.
Facebook.
Okay.
So Alexandra Bardales, and then my email. You could probably throw it
I'll put it
in the
in the show
description.
notes.
Okay.
And then I do want to do a little plug for you. You have developed a coaching, a little bit of a coaching thing where you're helping people who want to develop this in their gym.
Yeah. So yes,
Okay.
I want to maybe work with people like that.
Yes, yes. You're very good at working with people like that. And I think I wanted to put that in there. I didn't prepare you. Sorry.
Thanks. Yeah.
Threw you under that big bus of, oh, I'm promoting myself now. Why,
It's
yes, you
okay.
are.
I'm just so awkward.
Well, that makes two of us. That makes this so much better. So, well, thank you again for being on the show. And I know a lot of people will really value the information. So appreciate that.
Thanks, Scott. It was
Yeah.
fun.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast episode of the Legion Chalk Talk. If you want to know more about Alex, check out the show notes, because I'm going to give you a way to connect with her. And this episode was brought to you by the Level Method. Ding, 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 ding. Believe it or not. And if you want to know more about Level Method and the awesome people at the helm of Level Method, like Alexandra, you can go to levelmethod.com. It's that simple. And it's just like, spell it how it sounds. So thank you to our sponsor for making this possible. Thank you to all of you who are listening. We really appreciate having listeners. And if you want to hear about something on this podcast, reach out to me, Scott@levelmethod.com. Have a great day.